Right, so we've now got all of the toties installed. Just these two, I'm going to make a daughter board to go on top of this CAN servo, but I'm waiting for some connectors to turn up in the post. All of the other DCC bits are connected. Now I'm going to go through the whole thing with my multimeter and check that I've got everything on the correct polarity. So I thought I'll go through my wiring in slightly more detail. So all of the circuit boards you can see are from Merg, and that is all of the control system on this is going to be Merg. Up on my test layout where I've been checking it all works, they've got the DCC command station and handset. This little unit here is a USB one, so that will enable me to connect it up to my laptop and control the layout and any locos with that. So at this end we've got the 5 train on track indicators connected to the 5 end tracks, 3 in the sidings and the 2 main lines, which will just be I think for running the train around, things like that, because they don't run anywhere at the minute. The feedback from these train on track indicators goes into this CAN 8, so that will give me feedback into the CAN bus system when there is anything on those bits of track. So I'll be using that for my control panel, and I'm also hoping to add some signals. Next up is my CAN 8, which is actually set up as a CAN servo. So this one gives me the ability to control 8 servos, although because of the locations of the servos I've actually spread them out, so there are 5. This one up here and these 4 here. As we move down the centre, you see the cores from a twin and earth. These are just going to be my DCC bus. So at the minute what I've done is just pulled back the insulation where I've needed it to feed. So currently these feed into the toties, goes through the circuitry that does the comparison and looks for any voltage drop, and that'll indicate whether or not there's anything on the track. And then the droppers from the track, which you see coming through, come out of the toties. Here we've got some other examples, exactly the same circuit, but Merg also sell a PCB rather than doing it on Veroboard, and I just really like the ease of using pre-built PCBs, and they're very neat and tidy. Up here we've got a CAN set up as a CAN servo, and one of the reasons this is so nice is because I'm going to add an extra Veroboard daughter board on top that will allow me to have inputs and outputs. So the outputs are the servos and the inputs are going to be these 2 train on track indicators. So that saved me having to have an extra circuit board here. The last 3 servos are here. I've ended up running an extension wire on this servo to get back to this board. And then we've got 3 more locations. That one is a toti, this one on this one, and then I will terminate this DCC bus somewhere around here, and I'll probably just do like I've done at this end and use a bit of chop block, and it means that in the future if I need to connect up to it, it's easy enough to do. Right, so what I'm going to do to check the wiring is correct is I'm going to check each one of the browns and then the blues. Okay, so far so good. So I'm checking both sides to make sure that I've got continuity and not continuity. Glad I did this checking now, because I seem to have a problem with this jumper here. I probably haven't actually soldered it to the wire, I've probably just got solder all over the insulation, so I'm just going to go and have another go at that, make sure I'm correctly connected, because right now I'm not getting the track feed to these posts as I'm expecting to see. So I quickly reflowed the solder on that joint there, and now everything is connected to the correct part of the DCC bus. I'm happy with all of that. The next step is to grab the other CBUS modules and mount them, and then I can put on my CBUS wiring. So that involves a 12 volt line, a 0 line, and the CAN high and CAN low, which are probably going to end up running along here somewhere. Okay, I'm going to fast forward a few days from the last clip. Let's show you how far we've got. So you've seen all the CBUS modules before. Now you'll see some copper strips, and that is my CBUS power supply, power rails. They are going to be 0 and 12 volts. At the end of the last one, you'd have seen me just installing the DCC command station. This is now hooked up into the DCC bus we saw earlier. And the big change is I've now got, this is on the back of my layout, so it doesn't matter too much how visible it is. I've got two small PSUs, voltage control units, which will take an input from my PSUs. I've got this one for the DCC. I'm using an old Dell laptop power supply. It roughly supplies about 19 volts, and then I can't remember, I think I adjust it down to about 17 on there. I've got a switch which is for the DCC command station, which allows it to become a programming track. And then this one is going to be my power supply for the CBUS modules, which take roughly 12 volts. The power supply I've got provides about 14. This regulates it down to 12. The reason I like using these two little units is they've got an ammeter on them, so I can look at the current draw kind of live. Then we've got a plug for the cab unit, and then the other side of that is going to be the USB port, which will allow me to plug my laptop in should I want to do automation or reprogram any of the CBUS boards. Hope you've enjoyed this update. Might be a little while for the next ones. I'm waiting for some connectors to turn up from China, which will allow me to complete the CBUS wiring, and then I can get on and get it testing and actually get some trains running on the layout.